The short video is recorded in order to provide you with the technical skills and knowledge needed to define variables on SPSS. SPSS stands for Statistical Package for Social Science. It is a very powerful software that is used in different disciplines of sciences in order to perform various types of statistical analyses and tests when it comes to quantitative research. By the end of this video, two objectives will be achieved. You'll be able to define variables properly on SPSS. The second objective, you'll be also able to input data into the defined variables and perform basic descriptive statistical analyses. I'll take you through the experience of using your SPSS. First of all, you need to open the software, then you will get this page. Please close it. Then this is the basic platform of the SPSS. If you look to the left down corner, you see two tabs. One of them says Variable View, and this is the sheet that includes the variables that will be defined as part of your study. And the other sheet includes the data view, and this is the sheet on which the collected data will be entered. So, variable view, before I give my example, let me define the word variable in a very simple language. The word variable in statistics refers to any characteristic under study that has different values. In a very basic language, we can define variable in statistics as anything that has a changing quantity or quality. And there are two main branches of variables: qualitative variables and quantitative variables. The qualitative or categorical variables, where when you ask about a specific variable, the respondents will respond by giving you a quality or a word. But the quantitative variable is the variable that if you ask your respondents to, respond, they will respond by giving you a quantitative or numerical values. Qualitative variables could be, variables like gender. If I ask about gender, well, the respondents will respond by giving, a word like male, female. But if I ask, for example, about age, then the respondents will give me a numerical value that could be 22, 21, 23, and so on. And of course, the quantitative variables can be discrete quantitative variables and continuous. Discrete quantitative variables are the countable variables. For example, if I ask about the number of cars that 50 families may have, so you may say, well, this family has 2 cars, the second family 3 cars, but it is impossible to say that the third family has 3 cars and a half. That's why this is discrete. The continuous variables are usually measured using intervals or could be ratios. For example, the weight of human beings is a continuous quantitative variable, because you may ask someone about the weight and it happens to be 60 kgs, and then the second person is 61, but if I bring an electronic scale to get accurate measurements, I may have someone who's 60.7. So this is the general meaning of variables in statistics. Now, in my example, I will ask a sample of 10 students about their gender as the first variable, their age as the second variable, the time they spend in preparation before the final exam of mathematics as the third variable, and the score that they achieved in the final exam of mathematics as the fourth variable. So we're gonna start by defining the gender variable. So the name here, this field, we should input the name of the variable. Now, once you move to the type, it's gonna produce the default option, which is numeric. And in this case, I want to leave the gender as a numeric value because I will define it. The width here does not refer to the width of the column, but it basically represents the number of characters. Now, the decimals, since I decided to choose numeric value, how many decimals we want to have? Let's make them here 0. The label, this column includes the name of the variable, like we're gonna say it's basically gender of student. Now, the values, are we going to assign values? And if you click on these 3 dots, then it's going to take you to this window where you can assign a value of 1 to represent those who are male. I'm going to define this variable by assigning 1 to male students, and then I'm going to click on add, and then I'm going to assign a value of 2 to those who are, female students, and then I'm going to add this. I'm going to also click on OK. The missing is not commonly used, but for example, if you have a discrete variable where it is impossible to have a value like -1, then if there is any value within your data that includes -1, then it's going to be considered as a missing value. But, we are not going to use it for the gender variable. Here, the columns is basically the width of the column, like 8. For example, if you go now to the data view, you will find this variable here that I just created, the gender. If I expand this, then I'm expanding the width of the column. And let's have a look what happens to this 8. It increased to 14. Let's keep it, 8. Alignment, how you're going to align, is it to the left, to the right, or to the center? The measure is a very important, field that when you open this drop-down menu, you've got 3 choices. The nominal, when you've got categorical, variables, qualitative variables, where the order is not important, like the gender is a nominal variable. For example, when you ask someone about his or her favorite social media application, again, they're going to respond by giving you a word where the order is not important, about the favorite, for example, brand of computer, and so on. The ordinal is when you've got also, different categories, but you can order them somehow. For example, if you ask students about their final grades, letter grades, A, B+, B, C, these are different categories, but somehow can be ordered. The scale should include any, quantitative variable that can be measured using intervals or ratios, where when you've got intervals, the natural 0 is not included, but it is included when you've got ratios. So for this variable, we're gonna select a level of measurement that is nominal. The input is basically the role that we're gonna have for this variable. We're gonna put it as an input. So let's define now the second variable, which is indeed the age of the respondent. It's numeric. We're gonna also decide that we don't have any number of decimals, and then we say here the label is age of the student, and then we are not going to define any values because we will input raw data, the data that we collected from the 10 students, but this is basically will be assigned as a scale. The third variable is indeed the time they spend on preparation before the final exam in mathematics. And here we're gonna the time is measured in number of hours. So let's make the number of decimals 0, and we say number of hours or of study hours. Okay, great. And we're gonna collect raw data, so we are not gonna define any values, but this is basically measured as a scale. And the fourth and the last variable is the score of these 10 students in the final exam of mathematics. So here we expect maybe to have, let's say, 2 decimals, and then we'll say final exam score. And then this is again a scale. Now I am done with defining my variables on SPSS, and this is the first objective in this video. And now we're gonna move to the second objective, how to input the data and how to perform basic statistical analysis. I'm gonna click on the tab that says data view, and I've got my 4 variables here. I've already collected the data from my students on a questionnaire, and I have the data in this spreadsheet that I've got gender, age, and time, and then the score. So I'm gonna copy the data and then paste it into the SPSS here. And now I can perform basic statistical analyses, like if I click, for example, on Analyze, and then choose the second option, Descriptive Statistics, and then I can perform basic descriptive statistics on my quantitative variables. Like gender is not a quantitative variable, but I can choose the age. I can also choose the other 2 variables and then move them to this side, and then I can open the options tab and then decide the mean, the standard deviation, the variance in case I want to include it as a measure of dispersion, the minimum, the maximum, and so on. Kurtosis and skewness, I can include them. And let's click continue, and then let's hit OK. And then this is the output sheet where I've got basically 10 students here. The smallest value of the age is 18, and the largest value is 29, and the mean is 21.8. The standard deviation is 3.58, and so on. The number of study hours, well, the lowest value is 5 hours. The largest value is 16. We've got large range, variations between the students. And then, of course, you've got the value of the mean, and the standard deviation is 3.4. The final exam, same thing. It goes to the lowest score in the math final exam was 72. The highest score 95, and this is the average, which is 88.5, and the standard deviation is 6.65, and so on. Now I can produce other things as well. If I click on this Analyze tab, Descriptive Statistics, I can also prepare charts. For example, if I want to prepare a pie chart for this gender, so I'm going to move the gender and click on charts here to let's say prepare a pie chart and show the percent. I can also prepare a frequency distribution table within. Of course, I can calculate the same measures here. I can let's have a look to the format, and let's see the statistics. So we will basically click OK, and now we've got here a frequency distribution table that shows the 2 categories, male and female. Number of males is 6, number of females is 4 students, and then the percentage of males 60, females 40, and you've got here a column that says cumulative percentage. And then, of course, you've got here the pie chart. You can edit it, you can format it. We can do the same thing. We can graph, histograms. We can graph bar graphs and so on from the frequencies tab here for the other variables. Well, thank you very much for watching this video. In order to disseminate knowledge, please make sure to like the video and subscribe in the channel.